the whole process of Ina trying to get me for this shoot was the coolest thing. Because when I said yes, I was so nervous about the concept, and then because I was asking Ina like, where am I in this? And she was like saying, oh, here's my idea, but you need to build around it. Okay, so it's practically like from the ground up talaga. So the idea that Ina had, I had to flesh out as a whole, with the whole storyline first or log line for me first. And the whole log line, I think 80% of the log line played through, and that was the very first log line that I made. I mean, for that was the narrative that you see in the final video is the same log line, the same version one. It was never iterated. It was just skewed on the day, which is so cool. And that epiphany of a log line came in about I want to say 10 minutes.
He was like, when that first call ended, he was like nervous, and I could hear it from his voice. He's like, "Am I even ready for this type of feel?" But then he called 10 minutes later, and then he was like, "Okay, you ready?" And then he went off with like what he thought within 10 minutes. Like he was just able to expand it so much already. So I was just like,
Yeah.
damn.
One thing that's remained consistent with me though is how when it's worked, it's like just the switch turns on. I don't know, the nerves go away, and it's always a constant effort to make everything work. When we were getting into this part of the shoot, I was telling Ina that she should be leading this because I'm just helping out. While we always feed off of each other's opinions, at this point, it's her idea at this point. This isn't my campaign anymore. Yeah, when we
But
were
yeah,
shooting those, I had to make sure that you were the leading voice. Ako lang yung magsasabi ng action.
it's a dream team, but it's more like we're all learning at the same time. We're all teaching and learning
Yeah.
at the same time the whole time during the shoot. It's been like the biggest shoot ever, or maybe even like the only shoot ever I've done that's like I led through or like planned out basically. And
Mm.
like when I woke up in the morning, it wasn't great. I was like half panicking just because like I didn't know if I was gonna do well because it's the first time ever I
Yeah.
was gonna do this. Well, I panicked, but in the car, like I really took the time to like I was just listening to like ambient sounds and like fully,
Past lives?
like yeah, just yep, past lives. I was
I
just like
knew it.
low key kind of like accepting nah, I'll just do whatever I can today. And if it doesn't turn out the best, I'll just learn from it. And it was so hard to get over it in the car. Like I was like crying every like 10 minutes.
Oh.
But yeah. But when I got there, it was like so quiet. And I think it was it just you and yeah. And like
It was me and the gaffer and grip.
yeah. And then I was like, okay, it's actually happening. I think the whole like Richboyz project only became real when I like got there. So warehouse. So I was just like, oh my gosh. It was like
Yeah.
unbelievable because the last time we were in the same studio, I was just like assisting. And like I remember telling Marshoe like,
And I was
oh
BTS.
yeah, and you were doing the BTS for the shoot. And I remember going closer to Marshoe that day and I was just like, oh, this shoot is like such a large scale shoot. Like I wanna be able to be part of planning something this big or, like
Yeah.
leading a team that was that big for a shoot. In like what, 2 months?
What did I say? What did I
Mar-
say?
Marshall literally was just like, what did you say? Did you say something like it was gonna happen sooner,
It's gonna
sooner or
happen sooner
later?
than you think.
Yeah, and like it did. Like I was there standing in the same studio and in a completely different role.
It's a nice feeling for me too, because looking back, it's like Rich Boys was priming me for something big. It started from BTS, and then event coverage, and then direct. Yeah. Day two was a kind of a dream scene. It was like a test for me, knowing that the place is already looks good. It was my job, along with the gaffers, but mostly my job to figure out the lighting layout to elevate that feeling. So the goal was to create this atmosphere where it was hot and it was dense. It felt like the air was dense, and I think it did a decent job doing that. And the lighting was consistent too, with regards to having the rim light always on the right. It would be on the left because geographically it made sense. Like this, we had a spotlight tracking him, which actually it's so cool because like the lighting layout that I had planned was like 95% in fruition for this day. And it's all thanks to just because how well I communicated and how well Kuya Brai was able to absorb my information, and it really felt like all the years I've had on YouTube Film School. I think I was able to communicate my things clearly and in a formal way too. This one's not for the money. This is a test of um if I'm actually made for this. And every time I do something like this or in my element, it it just screams like I have to do this. I have to do this forever. It's what I have to do.
With the pre-prod thing, it was like I was really worried because like I don't know how the warehouse looked like. We didn't have time to ocular basically, and parang I was just nervous because I knew this part, like what would carry this whole like sequence in the storyboard was the place. So I was quite worried, like oh my gosh, yun ba yung in-envision namin ni Marshoe? And then when Jacob set the photo ng warehouse, I was just like, oh my god, this is exactly
Yep,
what was in my head.
this is
And like,
exactly what was in my head.
I guess grateful initially to like Jacob and Kate for giving us like the space to like play around. I mean, for me personally, like I'm still doing it like towards still the event, and like they trusted like these 23-year-olds, you know, to go at it and whatever we were envisioning, just to do it. Parang they really left it up to like me and Marshoe. And yeah, like my inner self, my inner creative is just flourishing when like flourishes when like people trust like what I say. And like this whole time leading up to the shoot, Jacob was just like he had like ideas and he would throw it at me, but he'd always add at the end na parang like, ikaw ba Ina? Ano sa tingin mo? Parang ganun. And like, that's so validating as a creative, you know, just hearing words that like, your opinion matters as a creative. Parang ganun. So grateful and excited, like, what's more to come. Like, I didn't know I could do this, but we just did. So, you know, what else is out there?